being in Maine and being so fortunate to have this amazing beer, this amazing food, amazing seafood. I love it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Great Beer Adventure. My name is Amanda, and you have made it to the premiere episode. There will be no more intros, no more sneak peeks. So far, you have met 3 of us. That was myself, Jane, and Jen. We will each be taking turns going through and introducing you to different featured guests and different topics. For this particular episode, we have gone over to Rising Tide, it was Jane and myself, to look at the science of good tasting beer. It was a very amazing time over there. We were treated like queens, and it was fantastic, and we hope that you enjoy all that we learned from our lovely guest.
We are currently sitting in the lab. It's a tiny room, but we are all snuggled up together of Rising Tide. We are sitting with our featured guest who just 4 short years ago graduated from Bates with a degree in environmental chemistry, which is very interesting. She also went through the American Brewers Guild Intensive Brewing Science and Engineering in 2013. She was a lab tech at another local brewery here in the state before coming to Rising Tide. She's also been showcased as one of the 4 women from craftbeer.com of women shaping brewing of beer. Also, Maine Public Broadcasting Network. Everybody really seems to love our guest, Haley Campbell.
It's nice for you guys to be here.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks for having
here
us.
with us. Yeah.
We are excited to learn more today. Our theme, if you will, is tasting beer. This is the premiere episode of our brand new podcast. Mm-hmm. And we thought, what better way to start than actually talking about tasting the beer we are going to be drinking throughout our adventure. What beer would you like to start with?
Well, I picked 4 beers that we have on tap today. And the first one, the dark amber colored one, is actually one of my favorite beers. It's not one of our most populars, but it's a year-round beer. It's called Ishmael. And it kind of goes against the big hop craze. It's not a big hop-forward beer, but I think if you take a little smell, there's a lot of a malt called Munich malt in here that gives it a really nice, almost like a Tootsie Roll scent is what I get out of it, but a caramel sweetness to it. Then if you take a sip, it's just really smooth. It's low in alcohol. It's really easy drinking all year round, I think. Just, I don't know. It's one of those. It's one of my go-tos.
It does have a little bit of sweetness in the mouthfeel or whatever it's called, but not overly so. You don't get that Tootsie Roll caramel just a little sweet.
Right. Just I think in the aroma that comes through, and then in the flavor is more. I mean, it's different from a pale ale, you can tell, but
it's
not.
different.
It's not like a stout or anything where it's like these chocolate and coffee notes.
No, it is nice and light too.
Yeah, nice and light. Like I said, it's great beer to cook with as well. If you wanted to make like pulled pork or something.
Oh, really?
Just throw a little in there. Yeah, because you don't want to cook with hops. They get really, really bitter if you heat them. But a beer like this, drink half of it and pour half of it in with your braising beef or vegetables. It's really nice.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to try that one.
Yeah, I do.
Good.
I like it.
Good. So the next beer that I thought it would be fun to try is Mida. It's this little beer we make. You might have heard of it.
Mida, yeah.
You might have, yeah. It's out and about and everywhere, and everyone loves it.
Oh, it is. The first time I had it, I still remember.
Yeah.
This is great beer.
It's the opposite of what I was just saying because it falls squarely in line with the hop craze going through craft beer. It's called a session ale. A session IPA kind of is the idea, which means it's low in alcohol, but still has that really nice hop aroma that you get out of big IPAs. So this one, the hop blend, is a really nice balance, I think, between like piney notes, but also floral notes.
Yeah, and it's not quite like the West Coast IPAs that are just hop bombs. It's very smooth. The hops are there, and yeah, IPAs are everywhere. But it's amazing beer.
Before I understood more about IPAs, I thought all IPAs were really hop forward, like really, really hoppy. And I was happy when I tasted IPAs like this that aren't so
And I think
intense in the hop flavor.
Yeah, this is, I would describe it as hoppy, but it's not bitter, which is what a lot of beers are.
Yeah.
Because when you have a really high alcohol beer, you're going to have a lot of residual sugar left over, so you want to have more bitterness to kind of balance that out. Whereas this is a low alcohol beer. It's a lot drier, and you don't need the hops bitterness.
For me, I've kind of been playing around with beer for a while. But I always thought hops were equal to bitter.
Right. So
and I thought they were equal.
Are you familiar with the brewing process?
Slightly.
So, in the kettle is one place you add hops.
Yep.
And as a general rule, if you add more hops and if you add them earlier in the boil, you're going to extract more of those compounds that produce the bitter flavor. So we do add hops to the boil for Mida and all of our beer, but we also dry hop, which is what gives you, it's a really, gets a different quality out of the hops. It gets you all those aromas. It actually comes from the oils. So this is heavily dry hopped, less heavily bittered in the kettle.
Okay.
It's interesting how, like, you can change things up just by when you do things, because there's only 4 ingredients that go into making your basic beer, but you can use just those 4 ingredients and really change so much, and it's amazing to me. Almost like Harry Potter got really excited about magic.
Right?
This is how I feel about beer. Like, it's like
And there's lots of different types of hops too.
Oh, it's, yeah, especially now that hops from other countries, like Australia and New Zealand, are starting to hit the American craft beer market, which actually is a great segue into the next beer, which is the clearer, darker one. Is called Ete. It's our summer saison, and it is, I think, smells like a field of strawberries. There's a hop in here called Hull Melon, which is one of those newer hops I was saying, and I'm blanking on where it came from, but Nathan says he gets more of like a honeydew character out of it, but I smell strawberries.
I can kind of get both of
I
those.
get a little bit of,
But if you
each.
smell this one compared to the Mida, if you haven't drank it all yet,
I haven't.
so you see what I mean about the Mida being very piney and floral,
much.
and this
absolutely.
is very
Florally,
different.
Yeah.
I really like the imagery of the field of strawberries. You know, first you think about something smelling of strawberry and it's like this really strong. But if you think about actually going to a field and picking strawberries, which is the right time.
And drinking beer.
And drinking beer. If
While in the
only
field.
we could get Maxwell's to agree to do that. But no, I get that. Or I could see it going the honeydew way. Each smells just slightly different.
Mm-hmm. And then this is a different yeast strain that we ferment it with. It's a saison. So that is going to contribute some, they're called esters, which are floral, among other notes. Just the kind of the classic saison flavor, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
This is, we fermented it at a little bit lower of a temperature than some of our other saisons, so it's a little bit less of that character, but it's certainly different from the yeast strain that we use in most of our beers. Ete means so it means summer in French.
Oh, right.
And then we have
I took a little French.
autumn, which means fall, d'hiver, which means of winter, and printemps, which is spring. So we have a saison for each season.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And is there a reason that you went with French for each of the...
It's a French.
Is saison? Well, saison
Well,
sounds
French Belgian, tradition, and it's classy, I guess.
Sure.
French always
they have
makes
some
things
really good
classy.
cheese there, so
Right?
might as well name beer after it. Okay, so you have brought a fourth beer to the table.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
this one is another one that's gaining ground as a style in the American craft beer movement. It's a Goza.
Goza.
So it is a pretty traditional one. It's soured in the kettle. Some lactobacillus produces lactic acid, so that's giving it that tart aroma. And then we harvest seawater from Cape Elizabeth to make it salty, and then add coriander. So that's the traditional style.
No, I get the ocean. Like, I do, just straight up. And
It does smell like the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
we were actually here just recently.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. The ocean on a good day, not the ocean on a bad day.
We love the ocean here in Maine. Yeah.
Yeah, most people don't realize that the ocean has many different smells, but this is like the good ocean. But yeah, they were saying that there's not a lot of seawater in this.
I think I harvested 15 gallons. So in a batch of 15 barrels is not a lot. I'd have to do the math for the percentage. But it's just enough salt to give it just a little bit of salt flavor.
And do you add any extra salt or just the salt from the seawater?
Just the salt from the ocean.
And Goza is a traditional beer. What's
From
the origin?
Germany.
Germany.
It's really old style. I think it was on the brink of kind of dying out completely, and then I don't actually know the story behind how it was rediscovered, but I'm glad it was.
Me too. It's definitely one of my go-to styles. The this and the Kolsch, I just really love those styles.
This is great.
Yeah. And this is the one you actually have it in a tequila barrel, right?
We do have one tequila barrel of this, which tastes so good.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. I can just imagine how the saltiness.
The saltiness and the lactic acid isn't like the same as lime, but it's a similar tartness when you.
I love tart.
Yeah. I want to be put on the
Is this
call
just
list
for
when
summer?
that one's ready.
Is this just for summer?
Maybe. I'm not sure. We're working on incorporating it more and more into our lineup.
So much so that you've
It's-
actually started canning it recently, right?
Just today was our second batch.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I'm so
Nice.
excited
Very
about
exciting.
It's a difficult beer to make a lot of because you can't just kind of crank it out like the other beers. Like I said, this one sat in the kettle for 2 days, souring. You're trying to bring the pH down, and so it's just a little more time intensive, labor intensive, all of that.
This is a big discovery. I've never
You've never had a Goza?
I've never had a Goza, and I love tart, sour things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the salt
And I love
just
beer, and I
this-
love salt.
yeah, the salt is just an amazing addition to that sour tart profile.
Glad you like it.
Jane's having a moment here, like a serious beer moment. This is what the Great Beer Adventure is all about, right? It's
Yeah.
like these serious beer moments.
And I really like the name too. For some reason, Goza.
I'm glad that you approved.
good word,
Jen. Yeah. So the next thing that we are going to go into is actually what you do here. You taste the beers. You also do the quality control, and that is more than tasting beer. That is also looking at making sure that it tastes the way it's supposed to, by looking at yeast stuff. That's as much as
Yeast stuff is very technical. And
I'm trying, but science, chemistry was not my forte. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and then how you should properly taste a beer?
Sure. So, one of the programs that I implemented when I got here was a sensory program, and that's basically It's a weekly. Actually, now we're doing it twice a week.